If you have been following me for a while, you will know that I have some favorite go-to brands when it comes to speed puzzle practice. But over the last several weeks, I have been working with a brand that I don't often use, and this brand is Educa. In this video, I'm going to share with you what I have learned with speed puzzling with the Educa brand, and towards the end of the video, I will reveal why I am doing so many of their puzzles. Hey puzzling friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Sandra, the Puzzling Canadian. Well, over the last several weeks, I have been doing a lot of speed puzzle practice, but it's not with my favorite go-to brands. Usually when I practice, I am using a Ravensburger, Clementoni, a Bluebird, perhaps a Schmidt. But over the last several weeks, I have been working with the Educa brand. And I've been doing these 9 500-piece puzzles, and it has not been easy. There have been a lot of challenges and struggles for me getting used to this brand, but I am slowly getting used to it. So I'm going to share with you now some of the speed runs for the puzzles that I completed. Not all of them, but just a few of them. But I just want to let you know that the timings were horrendous. I was not expecting how long it would take me to do some of these images. I'm not proud of the times, but I'm hoping that each puzzle that I completed, that I learned something, and then maybe I can take that and just apply it going forward so that I could do a little bit better when I'm speed puzzling. So let's begin. Okay, we're going to start off with this one here. This image is called Yarn. Now, when I worked on it like this, but I guess you could work on it like this also, in whichever way you want, because it's just repetitive. So I prefer to do it landscape. So I started working on it. I sorted the pieces, I pulled the edges, worked on the edges first, because I do like to have the border first so that I can work off. Then the first colors that came, like I popped out to me, were the blues. There was a dark section there that had blue, purple, so it was easy to work on those. Then I gravitated towards some pink colors. They were giving me a hard time. I tried to pull out, there's a rainbow yarn at the top, but then I quickly realized there's one that's very similar down at the bottom. And that's what I find with Educa puzzles, or I've learned, is that they have a lot of repetition. So you think that you're pulling them out, but the same pattern is in another section of the puzzle. And that's what I was finding with this. I would pull out pinks and reds thinking they would be easy to identify, but they could fall in different places. So that is what was I was struggling with. I thought the very colorful section in the middle would have been easy right away, but it took me a while to do. And I was hoping to get this puzzle done within the 90 minutes because I thought it's with so much color, it would be a little bit faster to work on. But I ended up finishing the puzzle in 1 hour, 54 minutes, and 19 seconds. So next up is this image here. It's a photography image. It's called Lake in Alberta. Now, normally a photography image like this would scare me, but I have been working on some photography puzzles throughout the year. Earlier this year, I worked on a Casterland puzzle that looked exactly like this. And even in Canadian Nationals, we had photography landscape for the qualifying rounds. So I had an idea of what I should tackle first in regards to these type of images, but I just didn't realize how much challenges I was going to be facing with this one, particularly from Educa. So I started off again with the edges. I was a little concerned about that sky, but I managed to get the edges done. And then I started to work with the green section on the right-hand side. That side seemed to be lighter. So I did the green section that was bright, went down to do the reflection in the water where you see some of the white in the water. And then I did the mountains on the right-hand side. So that was the lighter section for me. Then I tried to work on the blue water or maybe some of the evergreens. And the evergreens were giving me a hard time. As you can take a look, those evergreens, they looked all the same. There was no shading or variation. And then I decided, let's try the sky, because I figured I have them all separated, those pieces, but I was finding that there were misfits and something was not fitting in properly. And I realized then it was the edges. The edges were not placed properly. So I had to redo that. And then then I was able to finish the sky That section frustrated me, and then the frustration continued into that mountain on the left-hand side. That mountain on the left-hand side is darker, makes it very difficult to look at the pieces. They all look the same to me, so it took a while, and same with the evergreens. So I just thought I would be able to do this puzzle a little bit better because I have done it before. But in the end, I ended up coming in at 2 hours, 57 minutes, and 30 seconds. And I just cannot believe how long it took me to do this puzzle. And I was concerned because I wasn't concerned. I was surprised because I did this earlier this year. So I went back to my records, took a look at that Casterland puzzle that I worked on, and checked my time. I did that Casterland puzzle in 1 hour, 53 minutes, and 8 seconds. So there was such a huge gap, such almost an hour difference. And I was trying to figure out why the difference. So I got those two images and put them side by side. And you could see that the Casterland puzzle has more variation in their image. The water is more of a teal blue with a little bit of light, like shadows in some sections, lighter in other sections. The sky right away makes a difference because there's some clouds, some distinguishable variation. Even in the evergreens down at the bottom, they're not all dark. You could see some evergreens are lighter and some are darker, so it's easier to identify. So I think because of the variation in the shadings, that Casterland puzzle was much easier. This one here is much darker, and that is why I ended up with such a terrible time. But, you know, I have learned from it, and hopefully I can apply some of the knowledge going forward. So next up is this image here. It is called Fairies, Unicorns, Butterflies. So I really do love this image. It's so pretty. I like the soft colors there. So I started working on this one. Again, I worked with the edges. I started with the sky because they had a lot of clouds. So I'm glad that I started with that. It was what I saw first. And you have this mountain on the side. I worked there also. And then you have that castle at the top. So I worked on that. So then I'm in at the middle of the puzzle, and this is where it started to slow down. I tried to work on that unicorn. Again, it's white, a lot of the hair, it just looked a lot the same. And then you have butterflies all through, and they're all pink. So you're trying to figure out where these pieces go because it's a lot of pink butterflies. The pink dress stands out, so I eventually got to that. And then what was left was this bottom portion of the puzzle, which was all green, and that just gave me a hard time. I really thought because of the florals and the trees and the sky that this would end up going faster, but it did not. I ended up finishing this puzzle at 2 hours and 33 minutes. So then I wanted to work on a few puzzles with somebody who also does speed puzzling. So my friend Sandy contacted me and wanted to get together and do some puzzling. And I asked her if she wanted to work on some of these Educa puzzles. So we did. We worked on 2 of these puzzles. First up, we worked on this one here, this rainbow unicorn. Another beautiful image, lovely colors. So when we got together, Sandy ended up starting off by tackling the edges. And my goal was to tackle certain sections that stand out to me because I don't normally do that when I'm speed puzzling, so I wanted to practice that. So the first thing that stood out in this puzzle is the dark section there, part of the unicorn, the nose and the mouth. I worked on that. What I do find challenging is if you're assembling a certain section of the puzzle, it is very difficult to move with Educa. Educa is a loose fitting puzzle, and so you could put 5 or 6 pieces together, try to lift it, and it falls apart. So really I was trying to assemble it within the puzzle and leave it in that section there. And then I started to work on the yellow. If I got stuck, I would move up to the blue sky there and try to work on that. And then I ended up doing the rest of the unicorn. Sandy was working on the pink section. She got that done really quickly. And then what was left was just the top portion where you saw all the butterflies. And there was, again, repetition. There were some repetitive blue colors, green colors, even orange. So you really had to look at the pieces and the image to figure out where it goes. But I was really happy with this time. Together, we ended up getting it done under an hour at 59 minutes and 59 seconds. And then the second puzzle that Sandy and I worked on was this beautiful one here. It is called Majestic Lion Stair, and this has some gorgeous colors, but I knew this was going to be a challenge. And just like before with the other puzzle, Sandy started with the edges, and then I started working on what I see first in the puzzle. So for me, it was the mouth and the nose of the lion, and then that big bright sun behind there. You also have some trees on the side. That was easy to pull out and work on. Sandy did a fantastic job of finishing that bottom section. It was very dark on the bottom, but she tackled it and got it done. I also found that in the fur of the lion, there was some blue, some pink, some brown, so you could pull those colors out quickly. And then what was left was all that orange and red at the top, and it all looked the same. It was nothing but trial and error trying to figure out where these pieces would go. But in the end, we ended up completing this puzzle in 1 hour and 14 minutes and 17 seconds. So there you have it. Those are a few puzzles that I completed with Educa. And I have learned a lot working on this brand over the last several weeks. One thing I have realized is speed puzzling this brand, my average time is more like 2 hours or 2 hours and 15 minutes. I have been able to do puzzles within 90 minutes or just over 90 minutes. But when it comes to this brand, I am closer to 2 hours. So clearly these images are harder for me. And I'm certain that if I continue working with this brand, it'll get easier for me. Number two, Educa brand has looser pieces. What that means for speed puzzling is if you're trying to move sections into a puzzle, it is very difficult. So I will probably need to have a small board and assemble on a small board and move that section into the puzzle. And that was a tip from Sandy. So thank you very much for that tip. I will try to do that the next time I work on an Educa puzzle. Number three, the third thing that I've learned is that if there are solid colors, there could be misfits. That's not the first time that I have come across misfits in an Educa puzzle, but it happens usually if there is a solid color. So I have to be more aware of that. Number four, Educa clearly has puzzles that have repetition. There's a lot of it. Either the whole puzzle is repetitive, like that yarn, or there's repetition within the puzzle, like the unicorn one that had a lot of butterflies. So I have to probably do more of those puzzles so I can get used to it. Now, one thing I learned, and it was a little bit annoying, so I don't know how I'm going to get around this. Here's a puzzle that I worked on. It is called Beetles. So as you can see, there's many different beetles. When I was working on this one, if you could see here, the logo is right at the top. And when I was working on it, I had to look at a lot of the pieces and figure out which beetle it belonged to. This section here, I couldn't even see the beetle. The whole logo covers that beetle. So that I find a little bit annoying. There is no poster inside an Educa puzzle. Normally when I did all the other images, it was okay. But when I did this one, it bothered me because I couldn't identify what that beetle looked like. So I'm not sure that I can fix that problem because the logo is where the logo is on the box. So another thing I have to be aware when puzzling Educa is that I need to be a little bit gentle and patient with the pieces, especially getting to the end of the puzzle. It is loose fitting. That means that if you're quickly trying to get this puzzle done in the last few minutes, if you're putting in a piece, like doing a brute force where you're putting it in and pulling it out, you can move a whole section and then it'll just throw your time off. So you need to be a little bit more gentle when you're doing this puzzle because pieces can easily move and it can just throw you off. So I have to constantly remember that with this type of brand, with this brand. So why am I doing all these Educa puzzles? Well, it's because I need practice because I have registered for an in-person competition that is sponsored by Educa. So this competition is going to be held in Luso, Portugal, and it's organized by a store called Puzzles PT. I'll attach their link down below. Competition is going to be held November 14th to the 16th in Luso, Portugal. And they have individuals, pairs, teams, and even a round for children. So I will be competing in the individual round. and I will have the qualifying rounds. There's two of them, two separate groups, and you will need to complete the puzzle in 2.5 hours. I believe top 50% in each group will go on to the finals. I think that's how it works. The finals, you will have 2 hours to complete it in the individual rounds. I've also registered in pairs. I found a pairs partner in Portugal, and we will have, I believe it is 2 hours to do a puzzle. And again, there's two groups. And I believe, again, it's the top 50% that will end up going to the finals. And in the finals, you will have, as a pairs, 90 minutes. There is teams. I'm not going to be participating in teams this time around. And then they also, in the morning, will have a children's round. So I am looking forward to going there. I'm a little bit nervous because I know this is going to be a challenge. My goal is really to go there, have fun, meet some puzzlers, and just do my best and see if I can finish the puzzle in the allotted time frame. That's all I am hoping to do, and I'm not sure which ones will show up, but I have some predictions. So let me tell you what I think might show up, and it's based on what I've seen them doing in past competitions. This is the fourth time that they're doing this. So definitely there's going to be a puzzle with repetition. I think we'll have, if we take a look here, this yarn one, I believe this yarn one will show up, perhaps in the individual qualifying round. I'm not sure what the other qualifying puzzle might be. It could be this one here, the butterflies, what is it? The unicorn butterflies one. I think that would be a nice one that's comparable to show up in the individuals. So that's my prediction. In regards to the individual final, I do think it's this majestic lion stair. So I think this might be the one, but it could be the lake in Alberta. I don't know, but this one is a nice one. I think that would be pretty good for an individual final. In regards to the pairs, I'm thinking this one. I worked on this one here, and I found this one really challenging. So this was one that I didn't start with the border because it's too difficult. So this might be one that ends up in pairs. Again, here's another one that's repetition. This one could end up in pairs too. Oh, this one was so difficult. Nothing but brown teddy bears. So this one might show up in pairs. In regards to teams, I'm not sure. I wasn't training for teams. It is a 1,000 piece puzzle. Educa has so many nice puzzles for that. So it will be interesting to see what they pick for the teams event. So if you have any experience with speed puzzling Educa and have some tips for me, please leave that down below in the comment section. I need all the help I can get. So I'm looking forward to maybe picking up some more tips and tricks that'll help me with these types of puzzles. If you will be going to this competition in Portugal, I would love to meet you. Feel free to come over and say hi. I speak Portuguese. I understand Portuguese, so that shouldn't be a problem. If you want to see this event, it is not live streamed, but I will try to provide updates on my Instagram account through stories or maybe reels. And on my community posts at YouTube, I'll try to provide an update. When I return, I will then hopefully try to work on a video as quickly as possible to share this experience with you. So over the next couple of weeks, there won't be any videos, but when I return, then I will try to get one out to you. If you enjoyed watching this video, please tap that like button. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. So I want to thank you for stopping by my channel. And until next time, happy puzzling.